You probably already know someone who earns less than you, but somehow has more saved, more calm, more room to breathe. Not luckier, not smarter, just further ahead with a smaller paycheck. That's not random, and it has almost nothing to do with income. And this isn't another stop doing this or that video. This is going to feel a little uncomfortable because it's not really about the money. It's about something underneath it. That's what we're getting into today. Not tricks, not hacks, the actual difference between people who grow wealth and people who stay stuck, even when they're standing in the exact same financial weather. Stick with me because this is not your regular finance content. If you've ever felt like you're doing all the right things and still not moving, this one's going to feel personal. So let's start with the part nobody likes to admit. You are not bad with money. I want you to say that again, slower, because most people watching this have spent years quietly believing the opposite. You've blamed your spending. You've blamed your discipline. You've blamed late-night Amazon orders and treat-yourself weekends. But here's something a financial psychologist will tell you that a financial app never will. Most financial stagnation isn't a discipline problem, it's a default setting problem. Here's what that means. Your brain didn't evolve to handle credit cards, subscriptions, or seeing other people's vacations every single day on a 5-inch screen. It evolved to survive short-term threats. Find food, avoid danger, stay safe today, worry about next year later, because there might not be a later. That wiring is incredibly useful if you're running from a predator. It's terrible if you're trying to build a retirement account. So when you fail to save, when you blow the bonus, when you say you'll start investing next paycheck and then don't, that's not a character flaw. That's an ancient survival instinct doing exactly what it was built to do in a world it was never built for. This is also why smart people stay stuck. Doctors, engineers, people with MBAs, people who can calculate compound interest in their sleep, but still can't explain where their paycheck went. Intelligence doesn't override psychology. You can know exactly what to do with money and still not do it, because knowing isn't the same as wiring. So if you've ever sat with your bank app open feeling like everyone else has some secret system you don't have access to, you haven't been missing information. You've been missing a different relationship with money, and that's something you can actually build. But here's where it gets interesting. Because the gap between people who grow wealth and people who stay stuck isn't really about money at all. It's about identity. Let's go deeper, because this is the part most finance content skips completely. Picture two people. Both grew up lower middle class. Both got their first real paycheck around the same age. One of them, let's call her Hannah, started seeing money as proof she made it, proof she wasn't that broke kid anymore. So every raise became a reason to upgrade. New apartment, new car lease, dinners out that said, without words, I'm doing well now. Nothing reckless, nothing dramatic, just steady upgrades that matched her steady raises. The other person, call him Lucas, had almost the same starting point. But somewhere along the way, he started seeing money differently. Not as proof of arrival, but as a tool for options. He didn't upgrade his lifestyle every time his income moved. He let a gap exist between what he earned and what he spent. That gap is the whole story. That gap is where wealth actually grows. 5 years later, Hannah and Lucas are earning almost the same amount. But Hannah has nothing saved because her lifestyle quietly rose every time her income did. Lucas has a real investment account, not because he earns more, but because he never closed that gap between income and spending. This is the part that stings a little, so let's say it plainly. Lifestyle creep doesn't feel like a mistake while it's happening. It feels like success. It feels like you finally deserve nice things after years of struggling. And you do deserve nice things. But there's a difference between spending that reflects your values and spending that's quietly trying to prove something to people who aren't even paying attention. That's the scarcity to identity trap. It starts as financial stress, then turns into a need to signal that the stress is gone even before it actually is. You start spending not from abundance, but from the fear of looking like you don't have it. And ironically, that fear is what keeps people from ever actually getting it. There's also a quieter version of this. Comparison. Not the loud kind, not jealousy over someone's car. The quiet kind. The kind where you see a friend's trip, a coworker's new kitchen, a stranger's soft life post, and something in your chest tightens. You don't even consciously decide to spend more. You just suddenly feel behind. And feeling behind makes people do one of two things: freeze completely or spend to catch up to a race they were never actually entered in. Here's the reframe that changes everything. Wealth isn't built by people who never feel that pull. It's built by people who learn to notice the pull without obeying it. The goal was never to stop wanting nice things. The goal is to stop letting other people's highlight reels set your financial pace. This is the real difference. Not income, not luck, not some secret stock tip. The people who grow wealth made peace with the gap between what they could spend and what they choose to spend, and they protected that gap like it was sacred. The people who stay stuck keep closing that gap every time their income rises, which means no matter how much they earn, they never actually move. Okay. Now that you understand the why, let's build the actual system, because awareness without action is just a nicer kind of stuck. But before we go into the actual system, please know that this video discusses general financial psychology and money habits for educational purposes only. It is not personalized financial advice. Examples like Hannah and Lucas are illustrative and not based on real individuals. Everyone's financial situation is different. Please consult a licensed financial advisor before making investment or money decisions based on this content. So, here's how you start protecting that gap starting this week. Step 1. Find your real gap, not your guessed gap. Pull up your last 3 months of bank statements. Add up everything you earned. Add up everything you spent. The number that's left, even if it's small, even if it's $40, that's your starting gap. Most people have never actually calculated this. They feel broke or fine based on vibes, not numbers. You can't grow a gap you've never measured. Step 2. Automate the gap before your brain can argue with it. The moment your paycheck lands, move a fixed amount, even if it's just $50, straight into a separate account you don't see daily, not your checking account, somewhere slightly out of sight. This matters because willpower is weakest right after a deposit hits when your brain feels rich for about 48 hours. Automating removes the decision entirely. Step 3, give every raise a 50-50 rule. This is the single biggest lifestyle creep killer. Every time your income goes up, a raise, a bonus, a new client, split the increase. 50% goes toward your gap, savings, investing, debt. 50%, you're free to enjoy, guilt-free. This way, your lifestyle still improves, slowly, intentionally, but it never fully swallows the raise the way Maya's did. Step 4, name your proof spending before you do it. Before any non-essential purchase over $100, ask one question out loud. Am I buying this because I want it or because I want to look like I'm doing well? You're not banning the purchase. You're just making the motive visible. Half the time, just naming it kills the urge. The other half, you buy it anyway, but now it's a choice, not a reflex. Step 5, invest the gap. Don't just store it. A gap sitting in a low-interest checking account is a gap that's quietly losing value to inflation every year. Once you have even $500 to $1,000 set aside, open a simple, low-cost index fund or retirement account and start moving your gap there instead of letting it pile up doing nothing. This is where the gap turns into actual wealth instead of just money that isn't spent yet. That's the system. Simple on purpose. Because complicated systems get abandoned in February. Now, here's the part most finance creators leave out completely. What happens when you fall off this? Because you will. Maybe not this month, but at some point, you'll get a bonus and blow past your 50-50 rule. You'll see a friend's new car and break your own rule about naming the motive. You'll skip the automation for 2 months because things got tight. This is normal. This is not the end of your progress. This is just the part nobody shows you. Here's the recovery move. And it's almost embarrassingly simple. You don't need a perfect month to get back on track. You need one decision. Just one. The next time money moves through your hands, your next paycheck, your next sale, your next bit of breathing room, you restart the gap. Not by punishing yourself for the slip. Not by swearing off all spending for 30 days like some financial detox. Just by quietly returning to the one rule that matters. Protect the gap, even if it's smaller than it used to be. People who build real wealth aren't the ones who never slip. They're the ones who slip and come back faster each time because they stop treating a bad month as proof that the whole plan failed. A one-off month is data. It's not a verdict. And this is exactly where I want to ask you something, because I want you to actually answer this, not just nod along. Think back to the last time you got a raise, a bonus, or extra money. What's the first thing you spent it on? And looking back now, was that want spending or proof spending? Drop it in the comments. Be honest. Nobody's grading you. Because here's what this is actually about. It was never about the coffee or the subscriptions or one bad weekend of spending. It's about who you're becoming every time you choose to protect that gap instead of closing it. Wealth isn't a number that finally arrives one day. It's the version of you who stopped spending to prove something and started spending and saving like someone who already knows they're enough. That's the person with options. The person who can leave a job they hate because there's a cushion underneath them. The person who can say yes to the things that matter and no to the things that were never really about them in the first place. That's freedom. Not a bigger number, a wider gap and the calm that comes with protecting it. So here's your one move this week. Pull up your bank statement, find your real gap, and automate even $10 of it before you do anything else with this video. If this made you see your own spending a little differently, subscribe to this channel. We break down the psychology behind money every week, not the boring lectures, the real stuff that's actually been keeping you stuck. See you in the next one.